think, they say that sometimes, anger can be the catalyst to success. Because of growth itself is an uncomfortable process. But you took a leap of faith.
I'll be honest with you. I said the pissed off because I was pissed off. But it is being observant. When you are a creator, one of the things that you do is you become observant. Observant to life, observance to anything. And for me, growing up on a show like Scandal, for 13 years being in that show, I saw, I saw everything. I saw the good of the industry. I saw the bad of the industry. I saw people, actors and actresses fighting for roles like it was real life, I saw veteran actors become angry when storylines ended, I saw how other actors would and even crew would treat each other, and become so defensive of being corrected because of they've decided this is a soapy and I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life because this is like an every month salary, And for me, I was like, I don't want to be angry when I get fired, I don't want to be angry when the storyline ends. I don't want to be in a position where the decisions are made for me and for me and my career and my life. You found that you look at some of the reasons that are the most lamest reasons that actors get all the time when they get fired is that we don't know what to write for you, right? And for me, that doesn't make sense. Then fire the writers, fire the writers, because then my job is to take what the writers give me and so that I can bring it to life, right? If you don't know what to write for me, why don't you call me in and consult with me so that I can give you ideas what to write, And so for me, I was like, nah, man, I'm not going to go down that road, I'm not going to hop from one audition to another audition. So instead of me fighting for roles, instead of me fighting for jobs, I'm going to create jobs and create roles so that I don't have to fight. I can decide whether, I want that role, I can take it, and I can't fire myself.
No, I'm tired.
I can't fire myself. So that's some of the things that kind of, led me to, I love acting and I love it more than producing and directing. But that's one of the things that led me to go out and having to do things right, and having to treat actors right, having to treat crew right, having to treat everybody in the industry right, because I was tired of having to complain year in, year out. And after, one of the things that I used to be angry about it myself was every year, in November, after negotiating for next year's contract, right? And walking out of that office because I didn't have an agent. I always negotiated myself. Walking out, I wouldn't walk out satisfied. Well, I'd be satisfied, but I'd be thinking about the next salary, the next amount I'm going to negotiate going forward. And that didn't make sense for me. It didn't make sense for me. So I put myself in a situation where I don't have to negotiate anymore, but I'll become the guy that negotiates with others.
Guys, you are a well-versed individual who understands themselves. It also speaks to identity. It also means that, you are very passionate and you love the space of creation. Absolutely right. Those are certain debates that were being had. Now, that thing then sparks this fire for you to produce Losing Lerato, which by itself has been a success. Global recognition. Where in LA, I saw audiences crying. They were in tears. you know,
Yeah.
old mamas, young people from different parts of the world, and just saying this story is so universal. Thank you for writing this story. Thank you for creating. But then what then a lot of then individuals then want to know is what were some of the challenges that you then had, that you had to deal with? You know, when you talk about distribution, that you talk about, you know, because now you are talking about negotiation. Then could we say that in those 13 years of you being in Scandal and negotiating year by year, that then helped you, as you now said, I'm producing my own film. This is how I'm going to negotiate with actors, writers, you know, did that itself help? Is that part of the success of this film?
Look, I won't shy away from it. Money is a factor, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I've been talking about money for a very long time. And I've got my own issues when it comes to money. But I think this platform is also for me to kind of show some of the obstacles that I encountered despite money. And one of the things that I encountered was the old way of thinking, you know, and the stiffness of the industry, you know. This is how we do things, so things are going to be like this, you know. And I think what made this a success was me having to break down those barriers, you know. And I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, you know, cinemas. You take your film to a distributor. A distributor takes it to head office of New Metro and Ster-Kinekor, right? And all the other independents, right? And so let's say now Ster-Kinekor and New Metro sends it to all the other branches. So you find that then the managers at those different branches, they watch the film and decide whether this is good for their cinema, for their region or not. So you find you send they send it to, let's say, Potchefstroom. You know, I'll use it as an example. You send it to Potchefstroom, where the manager is white Afrikaner, right? Who doesn't really watch black content at all. And you know, she will probably say, I don't want this for my film. It's not going to work for Potchefstroom. But you've never consulted with the black people in Potchefstroom. And then you have this notion that black people don't go and watch movies in Potchefstroom. Is because the content that you always accept and play in your region is Fila Second, you know, it's Afrikaans movies, you know. And I remember we went out the same time as Fila Second. And actually Fila Second was moved, we were moved from end of the month because we are new producers, and because, you know, and then they put us into middle of the month where people don't have money, supposedly. You see, that's another thing where we think that people don't have money, Kadi 15, to go and watch a movie. So we were put in Kadi 13, and we released Kadi 13th of September. But how I broke barriers is by me having to go and have a conversation with the cinema manager, Wako Poch, and say, I think it's going to work because of this and that and that and that. Do you know what I mean? And at some point, I also had to lie and say, I'm from Potchefstroom. And I was like, Boit is my little sister. All right. So for the film to get to be played, good, you know, in my speaking, I had to lie and say, Kitoko, you need to, you know. And my aunt is here, and my aunt is a pastor, and she's gonna bring all the people from church to come and watch, you know. So for me, those are some of the barriers. And when you have an international film like Fast and the Furious, and we came out same day as Fast and the Furious, and as J-Lo's film as well, no? And look, they had all the Hollywoods had over 60 cinemas that they were in, and we were only put in 39. But what happens is that in terms of numbers, we still beat them. We still beat Fast and the Furious. We still beat J-Lo's Hustlers. So for me, my question is, when you see that this product is doing well, why not open it up then? Because we've already proven ourselves that the first week, which is a week that people are not paid according to you, but we've done well and we've beaten the Hollywood. Why are you not opening up more cinema? So you found that someone from East London couldn't have the film. Someone from East London couldn't have the film, and they had to go to PE because you wouldn't open up more. So that's some of the obstacles. I don't know if you want me to talk about more.
Those are real. Yeah. No, I think it is important to. Yeah, no, I think it's important to give context. It's important also as an entrepreneur to give the real challenges, because of a lot of times someone hears or no, losing Lerato grows over 4 million rands. No one really understands some of the challenges that you would have to go through. You know, I mean, you look at a lot of international and even local.
Yeah, sorry, man. I was saying, they don't know that you hustle, and I was sleeping in my car. I was away from home for like, 3 months, 2.5 months of me having to travel, and I would park on the side of the road, go Volmaranstad, and just sleep, and wake up and get into a garage, and Nakongo, people know you, so you're not fresh, you're not in, but you have to go in and so whatever time that you sleep, you found that you'd have to wake up early before the world wakes up, so that you, as Kasomuru celebrity, can just brush your teeth, go garage.
So, I mean, then in your case, because of now, you are a familiar face, which a lot of people then would think that should make things easier for you. Just because you are famous, on a door will just give you money. There's also the perception that obviously, creatives in our industry, there's a lot of money floating around. Actors are getting paid, producers, Hagrele, 2 million, he's cheating the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5s. There's a whole lot of assumptions that come with it, but I think it is important to give that context, So you are driving to Potchefstroom, you are at Volmaranstad, you are talking to cinema managers. Did you ever think that this film will be this successful?
Yeah. Yes.
What's the thing that said to you that it will succeed? Is it because of the hard work that you put in, the hustle that you put in, the sleepless nights that you put in, the commitments that you had to do at home, the sacrifice and compromise, and saying to your family, hey, guys, listen, the next 3 months, the next 6 months, I might have to sell the house, I might have to sell the car, I might have to have some sureties there and there, and then getting that buy-in. Because I think also then that's another thing. People don't think that you have to get buy-in from Go2. They just think that, hey, man, let's just invest.
Yeah.
When you then invested in things, you said it's going to work. What were some of the things that to you said it's going to work?
Faith.
Was it the story? Faith.
Faith.
What inspired this faith?
My faith is inspired by one thing, Tad.
Yeah.
I've never wanted anything in my life and never got it. Never. So I've got faith. And this is you having to understand who you are. And that's the thing that we were talking about. Lineage.
Absolutely.
I'm not just, this battery is going low. It's not just
much a power bank, Kimo. Yeah.
I'll get a power bank now. So it's not just me that when I knock on those doors, it's not just me knocking. It's my lineage. It's God who's by my side, and I'm not just saying this just like everybody else who say, oh, Mudimu uzohamba nami, TikTok uzohamba nami, but I also put in a lot of action behind it. And the second thing that made me believe that this is going to be a success was the story.
Absolutely.
Which was a story. And for me, these are the kind of stories that you will still see from me going forward, are stories that people can relate to, and that is why, for me, I got upset at the funding model, where it wasn't about story. It was about paperwork. It's about you not having a certain document in your application. And when this thing is called Black Emerging, I want to touch on the word emerging. Black Emerging Filmmakers Fund. It means that we are dealing with people who, or actors. We're trying to the actors and producers who want to learn the trade and the craft. You know, people who are not in big companies that like your Okers and your white-owned companies like your Curious Pictures, who've been in TV, like Penguin Films, who's been on TV for so many years, and Joe Mafela worked and became a slave for Penguin for so many years and still passed on. And then we are not focused on that. We are focused on, yo, it's Joe Mafela. There's no money to bury him. You see what I'm saying? So that's what that fund is about, Tatu. That's what that fund is about. So for me, and the question I asked, because when I applied the first time, it was the Baby Jake Matlala movie. And I remember sitting at the SAFTA Awards, and we were told that we want to tell authentic South African stories. Baby Jake Matlala is an authentic story. But you get declined because of not having a BEE certificate. How black do I need to be? You've got all the other papers. You've got all the other papers, but there's one page missing. Even in today's world, you don't even have to have a BE certificate. You just go to the police station, you do an affidavit. Couldn't somebody call me and say, listen, this is the only thing you are missing? Because that's what emerging means. It means that we need to hold Black producers' hands and teach them about the business of the state. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not now decline them based on paperwork. I don't want to name any people, but there's some people who got funding. I doubt that they had a BE certificate in their application.
But I mean, Kagiso, that's what I always love about conversations with you, is that you give it as raw as it is. Because part of why our industry hasn't grown a lot of times is because a lot of producers, are living in fear to speak, because we do wonder if ever we will get the funding. We don't want to piss off mama. We don't want to step on toes. And that by itself, and just from an assumption could, you know what I mean? Because of it could be the bottleneck. And it would be great also to hear from producers that are maybe even watching, to also hear from them if ever they agree with the viewpoints that have been addressed and what has been really some of the real challenges that you are talking about. And I mean, also having been in business myself, I know the challenges that we have. And, when you get frustrated, you get to a point where you're like, actually, this complaining thing is not going to help. Let me just start my own thing, tell my own stories. Let me go talk to different investors and see who'll be interested in what I'm selling. Now you walk by faith, not by sight. It's the one thing that you are touching on. You have conversations with your daughter. You make this promise. You say, I'm going to do a film with you as your dad. You now also then break the stereotype that a lot of Black fathers never, ever keep their promises to their kids. You say that I walk with a whole lineage behind me, that by itself, whenever I knock on a door, I come with my gang. And when I'm sitting in this meeting, sometimes you might think that this office is big enough. And then I think we are sitting like this because of, the ancestors are there trying to say, hey, Chief, make this thing happen. And I then say Chief, and I'm like, oh, man, and I remember even getting the call. It's like, hey, I remember I was speaking to these, like, hey, we're casting for Losing Lerato and Kagiso, would like to even have you as Jake. And then you then read the script. You then realize, Romona, this is such a diverse story of real challenges that even fathers holistically are challenged with. Is the monetary issue. The moment you lose your position at work, the moment you lose your position in life, then some of your women might not see you as a man anymore. And then you get to see that it's Losing Lerato. Was that even the title when you wrote the movie? Was it Losing Lerato?
No, it wasn't. It was the day I lost my dad. But so some of the things that you learn, you see, this is what we're talking about, Tatu. And that's why, Kiri, when you are going through Black emerging filmmakers, these are some of the things that you need to learn. They teach you, right? But that's not what Black emerging filmmakers does. It doesn't teach you that. You see what I'm saying? So you start a film and you say, the day I lost my dad, right? And you sit there with there's people that buy films. You sit there with people that are going to buy the film or sell the film, you know. And titles are very key, and titles are things that you kind of have to work with, you know. And so, you know, you want something that's palatable. You want something that people are going to just consume easily. And for me, when I said the day I lost my dad, some people were saying the day I lost my daughter. Some people were saying the day I lost my father and not dad. So I figured that title on its own is a problem, especially when it comes to the business side of it. Even your hashtags, they're gonna be long. You know, those are the things that you get to learn. You know, because you want your film to trend. Because now we're dealing with social media, right? So that wasn't the title. The title was The Day I Lost My Dad. But I mean, as you workshop it, Losing Lerato comes into play. And now this is where another thing now, another stumbling block that a challenge that you come across when you're doing this thing. Now you have to go and sell it internationally, right? And this is another thing that pisses me off, because now I've had to, as a business decision, I've had to now be okay with my film's name being changed to suit the Americans, to go and suit, you know, the Europeans. And now it's going to be called Desperate Love. You know what I mean? In those countries. I remember
that conversation in America.
It makes me angry, because then we are sitting here as Africans having to bow down to our films being sold overseas and then make the overseas market comfortable, you know? And if you, and I mean, you were there, it wasn't difficult when they were calling us out, but Losing Laredo, right?
That one goes to Losing Laredo, yes.
Laredo. So let them get you to us as well, as much as we are trying, you know, and most of our young people are trying to be American. I mean, you know, even how they speak, even the culture is now we are chasing American culture. So what I'm saying is that let the Americans learn our culture. Let them know how to say imbombo yeminyanya. No, I mean, it's our thing.
No, absolutely.
There's just too much compromise because we're trying to please people, and that's why even the Oscars, you know, we there's a certain way in how African films, we're not put into a category with all the films. We put into the best foreign category. Man, Americans can go jump. Let's go for an ad break. I want to get my charger.
No, you can go get the charge. I mean, I'll engage in the meantime with the viewers. I mean, there's some questions also here that one will try to at least point out, you know. And I think obviously, you know, if you've been listening in, those are some of the challenges, but also we'll also talk about the positives that it is in the film industry. You know, even when Kagiso does come back, I want to discuss the diversified markets. You know, you've got Hollywood, you got Bollywood, you Bollywood. And Bollywood has served also as a litmus test, you know, that in Africa, there is an appetite for authentic African stories that we can relate to. You'll speak about a series like Jovijo, directed by Vincent Moloi and also produced, which did quite well, but there were also similar challenges from a funding perspective. The Black Emerging Filmmaking Fund, you know, there are some challenges there that filmmakers would face. And I think it is important that we continuously engage where we find solutions, you know. I was listening to one webinar by the president of Ghana, talking about crisis management, you know, and how they as a country managed even to function under the COVID lockdown. And he said, you know, we understood the end consumer, our citizens, that most of our markets are informal sectors. Therefore, the way that we approach the lockdown and, you know, so that we don't bottleneck the economy was to build solutions that are African solutions, you know, that are also Ghanaian solutions. And as you left, Kagiso, was just, you know, touching on the solutions that we give, for our sectors, are they actually aligned with an understanding of what a Black producer in the rural area is going through, what the township producer is going through, what the urban producer is going through, and also from a resource perspective, how much it also takes to build a good film, having flying cars and being snipers, sniper, then losing a rato, getting the bus, getting venues, getting wardrobe. Those are some of, like, now we're talking about the ecosystem. You know what I mean? It's.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just saying, like, I still watch the film, right? And I'm being honest with the producer. I watch it and I go, man, that helicopter would have been nice,
Yeah.
Having to see the SWAT come down from the helicopter, having to have the helicopter chase the bus, I would have wanted that. But a helicopter was costing me what, 25,000 an hour, right? How am I supposed to be able to do that? And having to add on
25,000 rand an hour.
An hour. So having to explain to you, Enatato, and not actually explaining, but also adding on what you were saying in terms of having to understand what the Ghanaian president was saying, having to understand, let's say, even a department that you are working on, right? I've asked this question to so many people who are our leaders, even in our department, in our industry, And I asked a simple question, and we were on 702 or SAFM when we had that discussion. And I asked, one of the people who are in charge of having to, sort out this actors bill and actors' rights, And the first question I asked was, have you ever seen an actor's contract? And the answer was no.
Oh, it was on SAFM. It was on SAFM, I remember. Yeah, it was on SAFM.
And I said, okay, so you've been given this task. How long have you been in this position? And they said, no, it's just only been 11 months. And I said, okay, so when you are meant to fight for us, and for 11 months, you've never looked at an actor's contract. How are you fighting for us when you don't know our working conditions for starters, And that's why I'm saying, Jorge, for me, when people get into an industry, and I always say this about Fikile Mbalula, I wish that Fikile Mbalula would come to our industry, because that is one minister.
I want Razzmatazz,
man, because I feel like wherever you throw Razzmatazz, if he goes to transport, he goes in and he wants to learn. It's not like Fikile grew up banality taxi or banality train or mama train or something. He didn't grow up with that, but he goes deep into it and he wants to know and he wants to learn. You see him when he was Minister of Police, he wants to go and learn that. When he's Minister of Sports, he changed sports. He wants to get there and leave a mark. Today, we've got Kagiso Rabada, pushing, the status quo because of Figi. Now, I'm saying, if our people are sitting here, what is it that they're doing? How are they changing the industry? Are we going to remember you when you leave this position? What impact have you made on this industry? And that's why, for me, I decided, I'm going to be the first Black producer, not even Black, the first producer in the whole of Africa to pay royalties, not just to actors, but to crew as well. And if I die today, that's the one thing that people will say at my memorial service. People that I grew up watching, like Bola Kasha. I mean, having to have Pradon say, Emina, you are I've never, not even any producer, not any white producer or Black producer I've worked for in all these years has paid me a royalty.
Kagiso, you have touched on many of the ills that the sector has, but also at the same time, there has been many conversations for years continuously about the plight of the industry, that itself, it needs solutions that understand the end consumer. Are we now saying that we will never fund a story based on the fact that you don't have a BEE certificate? There is a message here from Shandu Gandava. Says, I agree with Kagiso. I tried to apply for funding, but the funding window opened and closed during the 21-day lockdown. The police station would not even allow me to certify. And then we have Keyamalawa. I also face the same problems with that emerging fund. Then we have Mbuso Mlagisi saying, awesome countries, they love Ghana, and a trailblazer. Now, you walked by faith. The movie then grosses 4 million rands, over 4 million rands. There were many other challenges that you went through. You had made promises at home, 5 million, 5 million, and through that, then you say, okay, I'm going to pay crew, I'm going to pay actors, for everyone that has contributed to this film and its success. There's a call to say, hey, my man, we are actually nominating you for 6 awards, the US, at Idlewild Film Festival, deep in the beautiful mountains, Guana. And what is then the feeling that you then have with everything else that has happened, and saying, Faith, 5 meter years, 6 hours now internationally. What did that mean for the work that you had done and the commitment that you have given to the film?
It meant everything. Words cannot describe it. For me, it validates that I'm doing what's right, and for me, it also validates that I'm on the right path. When you have a film that has broken records, not just in your country, but has broken records in Africa, has broken records internationally, and still continues to break records internationally. And just because you did not fund it, you are not going to nominate it locally. And it's so, for me, it said, oh, it touched the nerve. And it says, oh, okay, sharp. I don't need awards to validate me, because already I was validated by God. I was already validated by Badimo Baka, and I've already been validated by the very same public that you are presenting awards to, that tell you, Jorge, this film has done well.
Yes.
And we are just talking about cinema. Everybody knows how difficult it is to get people into cinema. They know. Producers will tell you. And even when this film was going on, we were expected to be out in a week, and this film spent, even now during lockdown, the film has still been there. So we've been in cinema for over 16 weeks. You've never heard of a local film doing that, being in cinema for 16 weeks. So for me, and I'm not saying this because I'm gloating, and I think that's another thing that we need to start finding the difference in, and I've always said there's a difference between a rumor and a fact, and in this case there's a difference between gloating and having to put the facts. I'm putting the facts out there, not because Giri in your face, I'm putting the facts out there to say to government, to say to the institutions that are there, that you have producers in this country, you have the talent in this country, you have the stories in this country, and it's time that you come out and make your stories shine, instead of being excited that we are having an international film star in our production. We're having an international coming to America, is coming to South Africa. It's going to be shot. Why can't you gloat the same way about your productions? So this is why my American authority, I'm saying this, so that I'm saying this so that Kiri, we can do it. I'm not just saying it, but I'm also showing it. You know, the same way as we've had our veteran actors fighting and saying, I remember, I mean, State Theatre was on fire, and I was one of the people who were going, yeah, when we had our veteran actors stand up there and say, we can play the Mandelas. Why are they giving it to American actors? And then when I watched the production here, Nelson Mandela, I saw some of our veteran actors in there, not as actors, but as extras.
Yeah.
So we got to put the action behind it, because we are looking at you guys to lead the way for us, because, you know, Tato, even in a production,
is not being loyal, but yeah.
Yeah. But I'm saying, Jorge, even in a production, you know, you've been with Generations, and I mean, we've been in soapies, and every time, you know, there's an issue. When a veteran actor and when a lead actor has a problem with it, it gets taken seriously, right?
Yeah.
So we are asking our leaders, we are asking our veterans to fight for us, instead of backing down because of money. You've been in this industry for a very long time. You've made the money. Start fighting. Start making a mark, so that when you pass on, we remember you as a veteran and not as a character. A veteran who's made a difference.
Contributor to the growth of
contributor. That's the word. A contributor to the industry. And I'm not saying this because Kinale Kwale Joe Mafela. I love him. I love him to bits. But I keep using him as an example, is that when you say Joe Mafela, all you get is Stumo. That's what you get. You know, we don't get Joe Mafela, who changed the industry in this way.
Yeah. So, I mean, you like I said, you know, I always enjoy the passion. I think you are absolutely right. This is not a bashing exercise, I guess, on your side. It's just to really say there are opportunities for the sector to grow. We maybe might just need to work better on our legislation, our policies. You know, we might need to regulate the sector much better. You look at a market like Hollywood 3-4 years ago, you know, recorded as a $5 billion industry. You know, you then look at the research, creative industries as a whole in the US. It was over $736 billion. And film contributed over $46 billion to the GDP of the United States. Bollywood alone, it's huge, you know. You then come to South Africa, then you realize that the creative industries creates more jobs than the mining sector. So the question then becomes, are we having the right conversations? You know, you get a Tsotsi, which then had all South African cast, and it performed very well all the way to even get an Oscar, right? Yeah. Many other films have been launched. We had American actors being in our films, and the films have not done well. You know, it's not a bashing exercise, but it's just maybe to say that, are we actually understanding the markets that we are talking to? Do we understand the appetite that they have? You know, are we saying that the West will not actually enjoy our content in its most purest form, in its authenticity? You watch a film like City of God, right, which was a cast from Brazil, and it did well globally. You know, you watch a film like El Mariachi, Roberto Rodriguez, which then landed him to partner with Quentin Tarantino to produce Desperado. You know, because of the story itself was so genuinely authentic. Losing Lerato does exceptionally well. But now, I want to ask, what was going on through the casting process? Because of a lot of people then don't think that different elements of a make it work. You from your producer, your director, your actor, your script writing. If you get it wrong with your cast and the story itself is great, there could be a failure in the movie. But I watched this film myself, my brother, and I'm just like, the casting, from what other people will say is small characters. I'm like, there's no such thing as a small character. They're just small characters.
Yeah.
You had an all-star cast, my man. How did you get this all-star cast? How did you make this happen?
Ubuntu. And that's what I say. If in any production I've worked with, they'll tell you that I'm very respectful. From security guard, Sorry guys, I'm renovating, so you will hear a bang, bang, bang. So.
No, serious.
Yeah.
So, people are cutting down when I'm renovate. But anyway, yeah, the casting.
So anyway, I'm saying that having to respect from the security guard to the executive producers, to the veteran actors. I give them their place, and I respect them. Where you find that there's a lot of young people in the industry who get there and actually not humble themselves to the veteran actors, and that's why they never get to learn anything. That's why social media makes their careers. Their careers are not made by talent, and I always say that not the most talented actors are on TV, but it's the most hardworking actors that are on TV. And having to say that as well, there are actors who are on TV because of social media, and when they get there, instead of learning, they actually get there and forget. And this is one thing that my father once taught me. He said, the biggest enemy for any human being is to forget. Because you when you get to a place, you become comfortable, and once you're comfortable, then you forget why you are there. So it applies for everything, whether it's your work, whether it's your marriage, whether it's your relationship, doesn't matter. But never get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, then you forget. Which also goes the same for veteran actors who are feeling so much pressure when these young actors are coming in and they're using social media. They're able to negotiate better salaries, and instead of them learning, the veteran actors, they're not learning. Instead, what they do is they want to bash on the young actors and say that, la papa, lady fly by night, it's just all of it. If you just humble yourself, whether you're a veteran actor, whether you are a newbie in the industry, whether you are a social media star, just humble yourself and learn. So the All-Star cast was able to be brought in because of the relationships that I built in the industry. You and I will know this. You go to awards, or you meet another person who's also on TV, but you don't know them. You've never met them, in person. And you'll find that person will be more pompous about who greets first. Go along. You're at the mall and they're like, yeah, well, oh yeah, I see him. Yeah, that's Menzi. Is he gonna greet me? No, I'm also on TV. I greet. I don't care whether you're an actor who's new in the industry or not. I respect. I give everybody respect. And that allows you to build relationships. With producers, you build relationships. With directors, you build relationships. And also, just mentioning when I talked on the casting that we are talking about. For me, when I casted, yes, I went for actors that are known, right? But I also went for new people in the industry, because we need to open it up, and we went, and you saw, there's new faces that you don't know that were there. But another thing that I also did is that I went and I revived old career. People that already are seen as, down and out, people who are already seen as, people who have lost it, or they're not employable anymore. I went and I re-employed them. And this is not just for cast only, but even for crew. I had crew that came in, and I had internships that people were coming in to learn, from catering to being a DOP to camera to everything, and also went and revived old businesses and old crew that is not employed anymore because they're not cool enough.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's what made this team a powerful team, because everybody is hungry on all sides.
And then how long did it take to develop the script?
Script. I mean, I've been working on this for the very longest time, you know, but
Yeah.
it didn't take me a year to develop the script. Maybe 3 to 4 months having to workshop it back and forth, to 6 months having to get people to read it and to think about it,
Yeah.
and having to shoot it. That's the process that took forever because of finance. And that's why I don't understand why we are so excited to hear people say, it took me 9 years to get this film. I remember Kagiso Ledigha's first film, took him 9 years, but it was unnecessary. It's unnecessary. We should have given Kagiso Ledigha the money a long time ago. Now look at where Kagiso Ledigha is. And then we want now to shine on his shine. He's our boy. Yeah, he won this. Yeah, he's on Netflix. No, who was there? As government, you were not there to support it. It's unnecessary, totally unnecessary, especially with the amount of money that gets allocated for the sector. For us to have people sit around and only be able to shoot a film after 6 years doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So I mean, you are talking about if we obviously, as a country, relook our models of funding, our speed to react to the funding of the stories, that by itself could then potentially, obviously, then grow the sector, because of then we would have more locally produced content. I mean, we talk about the manufacturing sector. We always talk about buy local, and I think the buying local itself has even indicated to us the challenge that we've created by ourselves as a country, by not investing in the local economy. You talk about the township economy, which is huge by itself. Billions and billions comes from different townships across South Africa. Where do we build the theaters for our people to also see our films? How accessible is it for our people to see our films? Then we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, where now digital has become where films have been watched. I was reading another article now saying that Netflix in their quarter have already gotten millions of subscribers. They're now sitting at 180 million subscribers globally, because of people who want to watch content. Then I then switch on to Netflix. Heaven, Joe Vicho is there. Oh, okay. Then there's intersections there. So it means that the market itself has been hungry for content, and now COVID hits the country, lockdown hits and impacts our industry. Now we are watching television and we don't have enough content. Broadcasters are forced now to repeat content, and you then wonder, if we were to then fund the Kagiso, but repeat it, let's do.
Did they pay him?
But now you then wonder,
did they pay him?
That's another.
Is his family getting money from that? No, it's not. You see what I'm saying? You see, just to jump into your mouth, I fully agree with you. One, this COVID thing has exposed a lot of departments in this country. But let's focus on our department. You look at the actors who are starving right now, and it's not about whether you've been in the TV game for long or not, but we are all in the same hunger with the veteran actors who are supposed to be enjoying money from their royalties. They shouldn't be stressing about their next job right now during COVID. Gaban?
Yeah.
So this already, it exposes that. The second thing, Tato, is that now it also exposes us that when you talk about Netflix, right? that with Netflix, if you look at the Nigerian content that is there, it is fresh, it is new. It is not content, intersection, I'm not taking away from intersection, but I'm saying that represents our country. Because you did not give enough money for content to be produced, the only thing that we can present to Netflix, which is a world platform, is old content. So you're already exposed that you are not doing anything for this sector. The only thing that you want from this sector is when elections come, then you want to call us to become influencers. Again, asinaval.
Yeah, asinaval, you know, and it's yeah. I think it is important.
That advert, that old man with that phone, that old man with that phone, did he get paid? It was playing now. Did he get paid?
No, that's why I get it. Systems, legislation definitely needs to change. Content by itself, we need to open up the industry. I think part of this conversation itself, you know, as much as
Tato, it's not going to change.
No, Gahizo, I'm always optimistic. You know, as a
I'm telling you this now. It's not going to change. Ask me why. Ask me why.
No, I'm a baby. Before Gifikabo, before Gifikabo, because I also don't want, you know, for the consumer who's listening in now, also not to get an understanding of the process of what it takes to make a superb film. You know, because Losing Lerato was a superb film. You know, back when our productions did very well, the sacrifices themselves were there. The scars and the pains that it leaves a producer with. Once you've knocked on doors, you know, and people keep closing doors, but then the success itself happens, you know. Yes, then lockdown itself hits, and it hits globally. You know, then there's obviously the underlying issue. There's a lot of creatives currently, including producers, you know, including directors, including actors. You know, our whole ecosystem has been hit so hard that a lot of us are even afraid to even say, hey, gents, maybe I might need a food parcel. But did it even have to get here for us to now say, hey, there is a problem, now we need to resolve, you know? It also then begs the question to say, is sports, arts, and culture meant to be one thing? But that's also another conversation. Are we also even aligned with the digital developments that are currently happening? Are we ready, you know, to digitize? Where we are putting content on YouTube, where we are putting content on different social media platforms with the hope that a brand might one day contact you and say, hey, Kahiso man, I saw your show here, you know? Is that even a thing? Because I think there was someone who was asking a question about, yeah, man, you know, if you've got enough followers, you should be generating income. Is that the thing? You know, now you've made your 5 million. Are people now calling and saying, hey, Kahiso, back when we've got 10 million, how many films can you produce for us? Or what transpired then after that?
No. Look, now I'm an open and honest guy. You know, you call it 5 million, you know, but that's not the 5 million that comes to the producer, right? So for me,
because everyone assumes that 5 million is coming to you
because of the rules. That's why we're talking about stumbling blocks, where you've got your cinemas that did not create the content, your cinemas that did not sleep in a car, right? But you find that now you have to give 45% of what you make, and it goes to the cinemas. And then you go to the distributors where they're going to go and take
did you say 45%? 45, yeah. 45.
Basa it's a nix. Like 45, yeah, 69.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So Abachuna next, but they didn't work for this film. They didn't put in the money, but for them to exhibit, for them to have it in cinema, they take 45%, right? And then the 20% still goes to your distributor. So how much money are you?
So that's 65% of your profit is gone. 65% of your profit is already gone.
Gone.
And this is before tax also comes into play.
Yeah. Then you need to still go and pay your taxes, right? Now, by the time you, and this is just cinema, by the time you come out of cinema, that's the money that you have, right? So for me as a producer, I've accomplished my dream, I've accomplished my goal, you know? And for me, I'm not rich. I've just broken even because of what I put in. So you find out by the time, what if this film did not do well? What if it was just there for 2 weeks? I would have been in debt. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why you find a lot of producers feel horrid. They cannot do it on their own or take the risk because of the fear of being in debt if you don't do well in cinema. We've had a lot of producers who are still paying banks who, you know, from loans, you know, and that's another thing that's very sad, that banks don't even want to touch us in the industry. You know, you don't even get a personal loan. And for me, I was very shocked at a bank, you know, and I was like, I've been with you for over 15 years and you've given me 2 home loans, 2 vehicles, and now you can't give me a personal loan, just the personal loan. And they're like, no, because you are seen as an independent contractor. And I was like, but I've been independent. I've never worked co-filming now. I've never had a full-time job. I've always been an actor. And those are the kind of back and forth things that you struggle with. So to answer your question is that going forward, you know, this is you now having to say, I need to save enough money to start creating my own content. And I'm sitting here hoping that a Netflix will say, listen, what do you have? You know, because I've got a lot of content that I'm sitting with now that I am now trying to get money so that I can produce it. You know, I'm hoping, I mean, if a film is done so well, and as a producer, as a young producer who's still under the age of 35, you know, for we should be getting, you know, if you see potential, I should be getting a call from the NFVF saying, hey, listen, you've done well, congratulations. I still don't have that, you know, even now, you know, I don't have the NFVF saying, come, let's give you a slate where you know, you can produce at least 3 films in a year. But everybody, and I'm not saying this because but I'm just saying, I just want to say it, and I stand to be corrected. But there are people, producers whose films never did well. Actually, they were at a loss even in cinema, that only grossed about 20,000 in cinema, but have slates. So my question is, I also want to go back to, you know, what we were saying when you said things are going to change. They're not going to change. And this is why I'm saying they're not going to change. Money is not going to change this industry, because indlala yethu, our starvation and our hunger in the industry is not the same. You find a Thato Molamu who now gets, you know, Thato Molamu gets to be promoted or finds an opportunity to work for the National Film Foundation, or to be in a position where they can change the industry. And what Thato does is that he blends in. And we've seen that happen with a lot of producers. We've seen that happen with a lot of you know, actors who find themselves now in positions where they can change legislation, but instead of changing it, they blend in because of the money and because of the opportunities. And because when they get there, they also get told, you are spoiling the actors, or you're spoiling the industry, you know, and they forget. And that's why we're saying, once you get comfortable and you forget that this is the things that you are fighting for, the things that you had complaints about, you know. And I really don't want to go deep into names, but even now, during this COVID, when I listen to statements, I go, how is this that you can release a statement like this, you know? And I mean, I love the person, you know, and maybe they're gonna hate me after this, but how do you then start when you know, actually this is nonsense, and this is not how it should be? because you should be able to turn to the powers that be and school them about our industry, because they don't know anything about our industry. Where you say to them, no, there's call actors, there's permanent actors. So if we are going to use this money of COVID to split it, this is how it should be working. This is how it should be facilitated. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
also coming to the space of, now I'm a producer. I come in as a producer and I work for let's say a Netflix or an Mnet or an SABC. I should be able to say, okay, from my budget, just so that you know, I'm gonna pay royalties.
Yeah.
I want letting you, and not expect it to from, and that's how you slowly change the game. That's how you start schooling people. Do you know what I mean? We're not spoiling actors. It's money that's due to them. The crew, when that guy is carrying a big light like this, he's worked for it. Why should we try and take it away from him, or steal it from him and make ourselves, comfortable and rich, and or also be scared of being shut down? Because that's another thing of people closing down your channels. So now I'd rather be broke as an actor or as an entertainer. I'd rather have people laugh at me and say, ooh, really, but I would have fought for the truth. So if people want to close down doors, let them go ahead and do it. I'm not scared.
Yeah, bona man. That's why you touch on the real issues, and I think maybe at some point in time, if this does not spark a conversation, and a real conversation that will have measurable outcomes, not where there's an indaba, there's consistent conversations that never help, because I think $5 billion have been thrown around in Nigeria. The numbers themselves are here in South Africa. So I think it's really about propelling, and now that you're speaking about it now, I'm very interested to hear what's next for Bakwena Productions, Honano. What's next for Bakwena Productions?
You can't ask me a question and then deflate me to another question.
No, I'm not deflating. I want to know.
Remember when I called you, because I was actors rep for Scandal. And I called you and I said to you, Tato, how can we as the Scandal actors support you guys? And I asked you, what is it that you are fighting for? And you guys said you were fighting for money. And when you said that, remember the response from me, I said to you, then you can forget it, because this thing is not going to work, And there's a reason why I said that. And you guys went and you fetched Zelinzima Babi.
No, I want it's a different narrative that I don't want to open it up, especially on this platform.
Listen to what I'm saying. The point that I'm trying to drive. Listen, the point that I'm trying to drive is our hunger is not the same, because in that crew, there were certain people that sold you guys out. And in that fight that you are fighting for, there were still actors who were waiting in the wings to join Generations The Legacy. So that did not solve the problem, but what it did is that it made the industry become more arrogant to say that we made you and we can replace you at any time. It did not solve the problem. So I'm saying to you, this issue is how, when you say we, it's going to take a lot for actors to actually allow themselves to go hungry, for crew to allow themselves to go hungry and not work and down tools and say, let's fix this thing.
Bona, that's why I try always as much as I can not to touch a lot on Intwena, where it has gotten to a point where entrepreneurs, right? And I say entrepreneurs very, very, openly so, because it is those entrepreneurs that take the risks. Like what you are saying, that I went to look for funding for a film that I wanted to produce. Whether, someone agrees or not, I'm going to do it. And then you then further went and said that I will then pay crew and actors royalties because I acknowledge that there's a problem, right? Then you then need to start creating those platforms. You know, when I looked at where the industry itself was, I said, okay, we'll start a media company. And I started Gateway. I said, this is what I'm starting. And I established it in 2013 because I could see what the things here are just about to go pear-shaped. You know, we then start the Leaders in Motion Academy. It's a township academy. We are to be there in the township, so these kids can use content in their own townships and monetize it, right? And not saying, "Oh, hey man, it's mang. You know, we do obviously have a challenge of leadership across the board. You know, which is something that, you know, it's at the core foundation of why some of the ills are happening in the industry, because of, you know, maybe then we need to say the leaders that are in the positions, do they fully understand what the economy itself should look like? You know, so it does become important that, you know, producers, you know, whether of this world, you know, and you also then spoke about veterans. And I was saying to someone, if you don't know the industry and then you get to meet a Des from Bob, and then you get to meet a Roberta from Penguin, what conversations are you as a producer having, you know, to understand the, what are some of the skills that you could learn just as a producer? Yes, the problems are not the same. Privilege is not the same. But I'm also realizing that, you know, then the moment you start to address real issues, then in you know, like you're this person all one. And I think now I want to say that, you know, I applaud entrepreneurs that are brave enough. That's all when I go. It's important that people don't take away that Kagiso is an angry guy. No, Kagiso is just saying that these are the challenges, and if they don't get addressed, then we are going to keep having the same problems. And now you are also saying that actors, if you also don't stand up and fight for a bigger cause, it's a problem. Producers, if you also don't fight, it's a bigger problem. Because of now, we are realizing 3 months into this lockdown that the economy itself hasn't even saved enough content, you know. So what then do we then need to then do moving into 2020, 2025, and 2030? You know, and then I also want to speak about the importance also of African collaborations. You know, other African producers, are we talking? And when we talk, what communication are we having with each other? Where you talk to a Nigerian producer, says, hey, my brother, me, I'm not waiting for government to fund me. I am going to fund this myself, and I'm going to go with it. Because of I also know that we've built enough consumers that will consume our content.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't want us to be irresponsible to say that people don't know. They know. They know what must happen. You know, it's just a matter of, are they willing, you know, to be the ones that maybe might be pointed out? Maybe you know, money is an important thing, but also the resilience is also an important thing. The belief is an important thing. The faith is an important thing. You know, because of, I think all of us, even producers that are watching this show today, you know, I know even in government, there are some individuals that want it to work. But it's just that the bottlenecks are there, you know. So now I want to ask you that if we were to put then all these bottlenecks away, now as entrepreneurs, as fellow producers, directors, what is it that we need to start doing, you know, so that we don't also become a state-dependent industry? You know, what conversations do we need to start having with distributors, with cinemas? You know, because even cinemas now are under threat. You know, I read another article that Disneyland is buying one of the biggest movie theater companies in the US, you know. So do we need to start working on new models? Because, you know, I think, you know, the importance of the conversation is that the new models that we need to start talking to, you know, is it also feasible for us to produce a 20 million rand film? Or do we take 20 million rand and then distribute it and say we're going to produce 20 films, got 1 million rand each, or 40 films at 500,000 rand each? You know, now we are starting to now say it's a 5-year plan that we are building for us to now start generating content. You know, yes, we might not be paying you the 100,000 rand that you are used to getting paid, but for now, you know, because of I want then someone who's watching now to say, hey, man, Bakwena Films, they produced this film, and there's a hot producer called Kagiso Modupi. You know, coming with authentic stories. He wanted to tell the baby Jake Matala story. You know, I want us to come out of this conversation. You know, we only even have 20 minutes left, you know, to start engaging now on the solutions that we need to start driving towards. You know, because of I want then an international person who's watching this to call Kagiso Modupi and say, hey, man, losing Laredo, which won 6 awards. It was a father-daughter story. There were sacrifices that were made, and sacrifices like that in any business that you get into, you will have to sacrifice. You will have to compromise. You had to compromise the helicopter shot, 25,000 rand you could not invest in a day, but the story itself won. There were big plans, my brother. I remember big plans. We spoke about it. The 18th, we know what the country is about to lock down. And there were many plans. Right now, was supposed to be go London. A whole lot of things were supposed to happen. But I then want us to propel, because I know that, there's great intentions from like a GFC. There's great intentions from certain departments that, sports, arts, and culture creating this platform, even for us as Gauteng, because Gauteng is the hub, and you're finding that there's individuals that are willing and open to help. But if then they are still struggling with bottlenecks, are we now saying that we close our industry down? We're not going to work anymore because of government can't support us at the level that they should? No. Where are we? Where are
we? You've said everything that I wanted, that you and I, we've been talking about, and that's what it is. One, we need to school. As producers, we need to school funders about our industry, and when I say funders, I'm talking about private people that have money. We need to school the banks so that they understand how we make money. If we are walking away from having to get funded by government institutions, we need to school them in how we generate money in this industry, because all they just see boys but on good TV, and you're on TV. I enjoy watching you every night, but I don't even know the mechanics behind it, and I think that the film industry has been one of the well-kept secrets, a diamond field, where only certain individuals have been able to infiltrate and enjoy the resources of it. There's money in television. There's money in this industry. We cannot run away from that. In terms of collaborations, we have to collaborate, because as businessmen, as entrepreneurs, it opens up our market, right? But it becomes a sad reality, and that's why a lot of people don't understand, because they just see the face value of of just the politics behind it. Why is it that if the Americans are going to come here and bring money to shoot a Nelson Mandela movie that you as the locals did not fund, it means that they can dictate what must happen, who the producer must be, who the director must be, who the actors that they want, because they are bringing in the money. So for me, I'm saying that then we need, when we collaborate, because if you really think about it, if everybody worked for free to produce a Nelson Mandela film, it could have happened. And with the same quality. There's something that you don't understand. South African film crew is one of the best in the world, and even guys in America want to work with a South African crew because of the hard work that they put in and how skilled.
The spirit of Ubuntu, because it's Africa Month. I want also just to maybe touch on that. The spirit of Ubuntu is what makes the South African crews also, and these are guys that work hard.
Ubuntu doesn't pay the bills, but
I
also
but I want to say about the spirit of Africa. Me, I'm passionate about Africa, and I want a lot of people also to know, but I think also just so that we don't also. Here's a question to you, and maybe you could answer. Hey, and I want to thank everybody that's obviously been joining in the conversation. It does help at least to get a feel as to where the industry itself is, where are some of the challenges. But that's why No, remember, that's why, you know, the spirit of today's masterclass itself. That's why I don't want it to end on a somber note, where now a young black producer wants to come into the industry and they now watch this thing and they say, I can't go to GFC, I can't go to arts and culture. They're just gonna shut me down. I don't want us to have that narrative. You know, but itself, it was important that the issues and challenges are addressed and they're addressed holistically. You know, but it is important that change must happen, my brother. Collaborations need to happen. Our funding models need to change. We do need to look at remodeling how we also used to fund films, you know, where we now need to say that 20 million rand, we need to stretch it further, you know, rather than investing it in one film. Maybe as a 5-year business model, we need to invest in this sector for the next 5 years, you know, at a more tighter budget. We might need to relook at it. You know, live streaming has also now come in. It's changed how people are consuming content. You know, a lot of content is now on different platforms, and none of it is getting revenue generation. But someone right now is watching and asking, Reman, Muso says we need to rethink the entire value chain and construct a new route to market, measure the financial impact, and awaken sleeping giants that we are moving like a tortoise. You know, I'm trying to at least get another question, Mona. You know, I agree with Kagiso. I try to apply, you know, it's like funding and responsibility for funding is the issue. If the irresponsible are signing on funds and irresponsible spending on those funds while not making films. And these are good films that could be made if the funding was not based on whether I know you or I don't know you. You know, Tidiso says, but broadcasting laws in the country, first in the SABC is giving fair rules to play against this competition. We must question ICASA laws, and rule is the biggest challenge. You know, Baba Mare, boo KG, boo KG. You know, you know, so there are real issues, but I think it's important that we address the challenges, but also address the opportunities. You know, because this sector has money. You know, content is king. You know, that is why we've seen through lockdown, there's been like an increase even in people producing content. I guess even with Instagram, how many people now have got their own shows now on Instagram and YouTube since lockdown that you know? You know, but some of them are not monetizing. So maybe producers need to have a different conversation, you know, leaving this conversation, you know, but also at the same time understanding that this is not child's play. You know, it's the real ones that will survive the long term. The long run is the real ones, you know? Vincent Moloi, who's been in film for a very long time, took him years. Kholi Nikiwe, took him years. You know, but also that's why we don't also want it to be like we are bashing government. You know, we are saying that if you don't wake up, you are killing your own communities. You are killing the entrepreneurs that are trying to create jobs. You know, you are killing another lineage of opportunities that could be created. Because of our sector touches on the catering and the hospitality sector, hotels. You know, it touches on the manufacturing sector, food, because of catering. It touches in the financial sector, production accounting. You know, clothing. You know, it embodies all of that into one. That's why movies can make $2.4 billion. One film can make about that amount of money, you know, and you find that it's an investment of 500 million rand. So yes, definitely we do need to invest. And I think maybe if we are now saying to a young kid who's sitting and saying, I want to produce, I want to be able to, I want to have losing the Ratolinda, you know, what do you say to that young boy, that young girl that wants to produce? You know, what do you also say to veterans that have been fighting the cause, but the system itself is not allowing them to penetrate? What do you say to them, Kagiso?
I say, don't let someone else's yes or no determine whether your goal is going to be a reality or not.
Yeah.
You can't allow someone who's sitting in an office tell you that it's not going to work out. You can't allow an institution to tell you that just because they decline you, it does not mean that your goal cannot be reality. You know, if you really want it to happen, then you need to be pantula about it. You need to find ways to make your thing happen. You know, you need to find ways to make your dream a reality. And if we're going to rely just on government institutions, and that's another thing that I got to learn. Government is government. It's for the people, right? It's not for individuals. So they don't owe us anything. They don't owe us to give us the money. The reason why we are so angry is because they said, we'll give you the money. And then they did it. That's the only reason why we are so mad, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? They don't have to. They don't owe it to us. They don't owe us anything. So you owe it to yourself to get up and find ways to work around it.
Yeah.
Find ways to create content that people will be interested in.
Yeah.
Start finding your own roots, you know. A lot of people, even now, there's a lot of content show, but even when you watch YouTube and you watch, the other stuff, but at the end of the day, it's all a repetition. There's nothing that's new, and especially from Africans, because we watch content from overseas and then we try and recreate it from this side. I mean, I've seen even every time that even big channels, every time we've tried to recreate an American show, we mess it up, you know? Every time we try and recreate some stories from America, we mess it up. So I'm saying that start creating your own content, start being creative, you know? And don't follow money. Don't follow money, you know?
Yeah.
Money must follow you. You must find yourself in a position where you are not asking government to give you money to create, but government is asking you to create content. That's where we should be fighting for, you know.
But yeah. So I think it is also important, you know. That's why I didn't also want it to sound like it's a bashing session. You know,
No,
we also sometimes use the wrong words where I say government is a partner. Collaborate with government.
Yeah.
Do your bit. I think because of a lot of times, and I remember we kept asking, why do they want you to have 50%, right, of your money before they can fund you? And I ask you, maybe you need to ask different questions. We need to promote the spirit of entrepreneurship. Because of why would a private business invest in an entrepreneur that does not even want to invest in themselves, that doesn't believe in the dream? Whether you go to Ntate Olo Unan's Plaza shop shop for free, you know, I'll give you credits on the film. You know, donate 10,000 rand, you cool drink. You know, because of then the line items, then you know, favors themselves also need to happen in this industry for its, you know, for the industry itself to grow. And you know, I love this platform, and I love that we, you know, GFC, Gauteng Sports and Culture, they've created this platform for these real conversations to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and this conversation itself is going to live on a digital platform even years from now. So that,
and for me, when I talk, you see, what I also like, I like the transparency of like your GFC, you know, to give us this platform, because they GFC knew that we were going to talk about these things, because this is not something that we are saying behind their backs, but these are the conversations that we've sat in offices such GFC, and we've had conversations like this, and they also showed us from their side how much they're trying to bridge the gap. And I remember sitting at GFC, one of the things that I took home with me was that we cannot be like, as artists and producers, we cannot be like people who are waiting to get RTP houses. Can you imagine if how much money the country would have saved if by the time you get an RTP house, let's say the foundation for yourself. Do you get what I'm saying? If you
proactive citizenship, proactive citizenship, yes,
exactly. If you're already halfway building that house, we would have had extra money to fix our hospitals or to do something else. So as much as we're saying this, there are many issues that people have, and many issues that producers have, and many issues that we have with government institutions. So this is not a bashing question. It's us saying this is how it should be done, because some people don't have an idea in how it should be done, you know. But we should also be open to being taught the business side of it, because as creative, we tend to become so passionate about our creatives that we don't
understand the business.
We're not cognizant of the business side of it. Do you know what I mean? So think, as much as, and I think what makes people complain, it's not being declined. It's how you are declined. It's not what you do, but it's how it's being done. So on that side, I stand my ground and I say that we need to find a way in how we decline people.
Bona Kagiso, I think you touched on an important point, right?
Yeah.
The passion alone, right, is not what is going to sustain the film. You know, your ability to understand the business side, you know, serves the very same that it will also serve the story, you know. Because a lot of times, a lot of us just want to engage with the fact that, I love the story itself is great. And then we say, okay, sharp, but then we give you this 2 million. How are you going to spend this money? Then you say, but I get a production accountant, take it on board. But I want to urge, and I know it's a very, very important and personal thing that I urge creatives to study. And when we say study, degree, go university. It's just information that is there. You know, whether on Instagram, Facebook, whether on LinkedIn, there's plenty information. Are you part of film groups? You know, where are you in the ecosystem? Are you plugged into where the opportunity is? How, you know, do you even know a production accountant? You know, do you even know how to put a budget together? You know, because of that's why a lot of people won't know. There's a whole team that you worked with. I had to, you know, line producer, executive project manager, and these are people that have to say, okay, Kagiso, you've now said, okay, 2 million. How are we going to make a stretch in the 3 months that you are planning to shoot? You know, if it rains tomorrow and now a whole day has to be cancelled, you know, are you liquid enough, you know, for you to be able to carry on the next extra 2 days, you know? And that by itself also speaks to production budgeting. And you spoke about it also quite well, that, you know, foundations are very, very important. It's the same for the individual or the entrepreneur who is the producer. Your foundation, educate yourself about the sector that you are going into, and don't just say it's about the passion, you know, because of Ubuntu Habo Jesse. You know, just because of I'm a nice guy, therefore I'm going to make money. You know, but I also want to say that it's important for people to know that private sector, when you talk to a bank, how about something? You know, they need it back. You need to understand what rates are about. You know, if they say prime rate, prime plus, prime minus, those are very, very key things. So maybe as a way to kind of like propel the conversation is to say that maybe we need to start educating ourselves more, right? And stop blaming other people, right? And also rely on yourself, because if the self-belief is there, you know, the energies that you will also attract will see Norman Kagiso is serious about what he's doing. Therefore, I'll plug in Kitatsinya 500,000 rand. You know, because of that belief is not just because of your story is great. We see it in your eyes as the visionary. This man is serious about, I want to actually make this film. You know, I've got the faith. I know that it's going to work. I've done my market research. Because you didn't just do this movie without doing your market. Or not say about it. People are hungry for authentic content. You knew. That's why you are able to drive your chief's room. A manager say, listen, it will work here. You know, and we, you know, we're not saying what it to them mark. We're not saying that practice lies, but it's just the art of negotiation. You know, where you are saying, you know, I'm twisting there, I'm twisting there. I might have omitted this and that. But today we have proof of concepts. And let also Losing Lerato be used as a case study. As a case study, it's important. I think it's important also that even universities adopt, especially in filmmaking, that you adopt to understand how is it that you are able to make a film without having cash in your pocket. What is it that you as an entrepreneur need to have skill-wise? The importance also of character. Because of character, we just spoke about character. We like a character. And character has also been one of the propelling things that has made you succeed in creating this film, in about to close it off, the best camera is one that you have, Jacob Martin. And people are also saying, other professionals, challenges, finance. But as we wrap it up, Yaka Musimana Mokwena, who survives in water, who survives in land, who now has Mokwena Productions, successful first film that you've launched. What is next? Post-COVID lockdown, level 3. What's next?
Look, I've got 2 films that that are ready, for production. I've got a series that is also, ready for production. And those are my major things that I want to focus on this year, And like I said,
and how much are you looking for, Kagiso? How much do you need to make these 2 films and these 2 series to happen?
15 million. Okay. 15 million, and breaking it down to like a 3 million per film,
Okay.
And having to to have a 9 million for the series,
Okay.
And for me, that's what's coming, But another thing that I want to do is that I wanna become, somebody that people are gonna talk about in this industry for the next 50 years to come. Somebody who's brought change. I want to become that guy that didn't, just become part of the industry and leave the industry, but I want to be a guy that has made an impact in the industry and changing the working conditions of actors and crew. And I'd be very excited to see a security guard, be able to buy, just a small tez and come to work with it from film money, and not from having to have side jobs and and having to work in film as well. I'm bringing a lot of content that's going to be controversial. Some content is going to be, very lovely, and there's a beautiful love story that I wrote, and for people to get to understand who Kagiso Modupi is. I'm looking forward to taking on Africa and the world, and having to school the Western world, about who Africans are, and having to be proud of who we are, and having to change that industry as well, where they cannot just come and change our film titles to suit them. Do you know what I mean? They gotta start having to understand the content that's from Africa, and I'm just planning to conquer the world, man. And I'm also planning to uplift a lot of talent. I'm looking at having to bring on new talent and nurture it and change the game.
I think it's a very authentic African approach. Where communities take the responsibility to grow, be it whether to crop, be it whether to build a house. It's a community that works together. And I think in this particular ecosystem, looking at the different speakers that have come on this platform, and I think, it was important, to hear the good and the bad of the industry. It was important to understand the importance of an African young man and knowing who you are. It was important for you to say, to speak about the importance of keeping to your word. If you promised your daughter as a Black father keep your promise to your daughter. It is important also to diversify the sector and also be optimistic. It's important to look at collaboration in Africa. It's important to change the narrative. It's important to believe in yourself. Mona, we've got Xolani Nhlapo who says, Bona, Rona, we are willing to put in and collaborate with other professionals. We are willing to put in the money. And obviously, man, it just means more people need to be educated about the sector and about the financial, economic growth that it has before we can start having the different conversations. So, I really want to applaud the GFC. I want to applaud Gauteng government for creating a platform for real conversations where we're not saying, because no one called to say, hey, Kagiso, please don't say. They just said, hey, guys, have a conversation.
And that's
just have a conversation. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I want us as filmmakers, as content producers to go back and think about the new models and also start to think about how do we collaborate, not only with government, but private sector. How do we also start looking at creating venture capitalists, more country and also in Africa, which funds do we need to create? Because, there's a WhatsApp group, there's many conversations that are happening, and the plight for creatives right now, it's at its greatest challenge. It's a real thing. Actors, producers, directors. The industry itself is under threat. And it's not only just the film sector. It's those mamas that we used to, book for catering. It's those fashion designers from the township that would provide costumes for us. It's those painters in the township that would, provide us with painting. That make furniture that we use as part of our sets. The plumbers, the electricians, that all of them, majority of them are from the township. That's why it's important that we build the township sector, in collaboration with those that have the funds to say, guys, maybe let's educate you about the opportunity that lies in the African story. Because in Asia, the Chinese have done it very well. They tell. The Japanese have done it very well. And the Nigerians have done very well. So it's really just about embracing and trusting in your own story. South Africa is a very diverse country, 11 different languages, 11 different cultures. And, we're trying in small pockets. We've got Generations, which what I loved about Generations was that it gave at least a new picture of, an African making it in business without having to do snacks. I don't have to do crime. So it is important that, we start to also tell good stories about ourselves because we need to think about our kids today. The knowledge architecture Africa, are we archiving? Because that's what film does. Film archives. So that we should be looking back, interview in 10 years from now. And then Kagiso said that he will go into Africa. He's going to collaborate. He's going to conquer. Right? Yeah. We then want to hold him accountable. But as a leader in business, Kagiso, you said that I am going to do this. Right? And then when we then come back 5 years later, we are seeing that there's 20,000 films that have been created in the past 20 years. So I applaud you. I congratulate you for being brave enough, my brother, holistically, because it takes a particular kind of character and persona, to achieve the things that you've been able to achieve, It's great that this particular conversation can also be caught tomorrow. So before Retswala, I want to say also thank you to everyone that has joined into the conversation. I believe that, yesterday's masterclass, today's masterclass, and even tomorrow is going to help us to rethink about the future of the creative industries, the future of the South African economy, the future of the African economy, the future of content itself. Because content is the new oil. People are consuming it every single day. So congrats, mi bruru. Congrats. Don't hold back, Wanesu. Keep on being who you are. Ronaba kwa hamudimo sana nonyana. Bare waibolaya ile nonyana.
Yeah.
It's a home.
Yeah.
So, Africa, I want us to celebrate Africa Month, with a big bang and bazoom, but the importance of supporting local markets in film. Go out, watch South African films. Piracy, don't bootleg films, because the risks that are taken is so that it creates jobs. So when we say anti-piracy, it's not because of people are being funny. Is to say that you are taking away from the livelihoods of not just the producer, but the jobs that the producer is creating. It's been fun. It's been educational. It's been robust. As the comrades would say, it was a robust conversation. And I do believe that's why I'm an optimist. I'm always optimistic that change will happen. Even under the plight where there's someone who says no, I'm always of the belief, because of if you lose faith, Kagiso, if you lose faith and you give up, how many jobs are going to be impacted? That's why we can't give up as business people. I know I can't give up as an entrepreneur. I can't give up. I can't give up on the Lima dream. The township schools where we've got 2 camps. I can't give up on that dream because of these 92 kids. They look at it and say, "Hey, man, Tato, thank you for starting this school."
You've done an excellent job. You've done an excellent job, especially for the community of Ekurhuleni and Pretoria. I want to say that, and I want to applaud you on that, because you also fought. You did not just sit around and wait for things to happen, but you made
ladies and gentlemen, it was a great conversation. That was Kagiso Modupi from Bakwena Productions. We thank him for his time. We want to thank the Gauteng Sports, Arts and Culture Department for really making this platform available. We want to thank GFC, for being bold enough to be creative, to be innovative, and allowing the sector itself to converse and find solutions together. I think, that the essence of it is that the foundation must be built. So entrepreneurs, go out there, create, keep on writing, don't lose faith, believe in yourself, and know that it is not in your time, it's in God's time. And I believe that you are going to see a different industry in the next coming 5 years. From me, Tato Molamu, producer, director, we're looking forward because we've also created a lot of content that will be coming out. Diaries of Naftal, which is short content, and you've got beautiful actors there. We've got the Leaders in Motion Academy, where we're still training content producers so that we can have the skill sets that are invested in the township. So from me and the Gateway Media team, want to say thank you very much, and we're looking forward to a different industry in the next coming couple of years. Signing out.